Everyone, so you guys requested a review of some of my favorite indie brand foundations or lesser used brands, lesser known brands here on YouTube, because a lot of them you have to internet shop for, and a lot of you guys also wanted to know how to pick your foundation online, how I go about picking my correct foundation online. And those are really great questions. I know it can be hard enough as it is to try to find your right foundation at the mall or even at a drugstore. Sometimes when you're at a makeup counter, the makeup artist doesn't get it right because maybe you're under fluorescent lighting, maybe the lighting makes you more yellow and the incorrect shade gets picked. Maybe that particular artist has a taste for going more warm, more cool, more natural than you would want to go with your foundations. So first off, I'd like to start off by saying when I pick my foundation color, I like to go with spot on. I don't like to go any warmer, any cooler, or more natural base than I already am. I'm not saying I dislike the appearance of when people do that, as long as they feel good, they know they look good, they're happy with it. I think that you radiate, you know, a lot of beauty with just that inner confidence. But for me, I really like to be spot on with foundation. When I'm working with people, I like to be spot on with foundation. Now, when it comes to working with people though, you also have to obviously consider their tastes. Once I was buying foundation and I asked the lady to sort of help me because they were airbrush foundations, I couldn't play with them myself. So I asked her and she said, well, do you like to go a little darker than you are? Or do you like to go more neutral than you are? And I was like, that's a good question, but how do you make that work, you know? I thought you would just pick the right shade, you know. So you can, of course, go more dark than you normally are, provided it blends in with your skin or you're good at blending it down to your neck. You can go more light than you actually are, provided you, of course, blend it down, blend it well, blend it, you know, blend it. And of course, you could go more neutral than you really are if you have a lot of pigmentation in your skin, hyperpigmentation, if you're yellow like I am. You know, a lot of people who are very yellow based hate being yellow based and they want to be natural. So of course you can sort of play around with it and try to find that shade, that look that you want. So I'm going to try to help you with this with my video, and this is a great question because I feel a lot of people have difficulty finding their shade. So let's just get started with my favorite cruelty-free foundations that I've been playing with. Okay, so I'm going to start off with 100% Pure because it is, from what I have seen, one of the #1 recommended internet foundations or tinted moisturizers, yet their shade range is not very vast at all, yet you can still pick a color that might suit you, or you can get a blend of it too. Now, to get 100% Pure products, I love to go to whiterabbitbeauty.com first. And the reason being is because a proceed of what I purchase is going to be donated to about 3 or 4 charities of my choice. It could pick like Furry Friends, and you know, I think there's a rabbit one, there's one for cats and dogs, and I think there's one for just dogs. So 100% Pure has a shade range of foundations that are, I think, very, you know, I want to say it's not a vast range, but it doesn't mean that you can't fall somewhere in the middle or neutralize your color or make yourself a little darker. First off is Peach Bisque. This is a full coverage foundation that I love. Now, one thing I love about paraben-free, cruelty-free foundations that are about as pure as you can get on the market or on the internet is that they don't really break you out. There's no gimmicks to them. They're silicone-free. They're void of harsh ingredients. So for me, it's been a very long time since I've had a breakout, because I've been working with paraben-free foundations right now for a really long time, and I could confidently put on my foundation without having to worry, is this going to bother my skin? Unless, of course, you have allergies, then of course, you know, you might want to check the ingredients just the same. My shade is Peach Bisque currently, and when you're picking your foundation, what you want to do if you're buying it in a store is you could get a little sample and just put it right here by your jawbone, and you could blend up and blend down a little ways. If you don't see the foundation, it is your color. That's my philosophy when it comes to foundation, because I like that spot on look. Now, if you want to go a little darker than you naturally are because your face is really light, that's why you're going to blend down and make sure it goes with your neck. I've gotten some comments before on foundations I've chosen like, that's a little darker than your face. And of course, it is a little darker than my face most of the time because I use SPF or foundation coverage, so my face just doesn't get as much sunlight. Of course, I don't want to go with the exact match of my face because then my face will be very white and my neck will be very dark. So I want to kind of balance that and just blend it in. It's more my priority to make sure it matches right here at the jawline, make sure it matches my neck as opposed to my face. And if I could blend it in so that it's just nice and neutral like that, like Peach Bisque is for me, it's perfect. Now, if I'm buying this foundation online, one thing I'm going to consider is the fact, obviously I can't play with it. Now, these samples are from White Rabbit Beauty. This gives you a chance to play with the foundation, obviously, before you purchase. I picked up White Peach, which was my color at one point. Now my color is Peach Bisque. So, once again, I'm very yellow. But when you're buying online, you want to go with color descriptions for the foundations. If the color range you fall in is like medium, light tan, yellow, that's my color description. I'm going to try to find the foundation that suits me best. If I'm more on the medium side of my skin tone, I'm gonna go with that if that's the color I want to use then and there. If I know I'm going to be getting a little bit lighter, I want to make sure I avoid the sun, I'm probably going to go with the lighter one because I know that I'm going to drop some shade ranges. If I know that I'm going to be out in the sun a lot, I'll probably go to the darker scale of it and then let it work for me later on. And then of course, if your foundation does not work for you, you can always go back in it with a face powder. This is a 100% pure face powder sample. You can also get that on whiterabbitbeauty.com. This foundation I'm holding up for you is so full coverage. It's extremely full coverage. It's very matte. So unless you're looking for something like that, then I wouldn't go for this if you like a medium to sheer coverage. This is almost like full coverage on the spot. You can build it to be even more intense. This is generally not a coverage I go for, so this is not a bottle I'm looking to buy anytime soon, unless I end up with really bad skin soon. Next foundation I really love is Inglot's YSM Cream Foundation. I never actually thought of trying the cream foundations ever because I've always had a normal to oily skin type, and it tends to be oilier in the summertime, and at the same time, if I'm spending a lot of time in the sun, I could get a lot of peeling, so it becomes, combination. So this cream foundation, of course, is not going to, love any dry patches on your skin, but it's also oil free, so at the same time, it's not going to attract oil. It does get a little bit shiny as the day wears on, though, so I'll definitely let you guys know that. Honestly, though, it's not super wet and damp. It does not let enough oil break through to the point where I feel greasy. My skin feels dry to touch, so it just really gets very beautiful and dewy. I kind of like it when the natural skin sort of breaks through the foundation a little bit and lets it get to this beautiful natural state. Now, these Inglot cream foundations, I will say they do run a little bit on the pink side. Number 41 is one of their lighter shades, and I'm pretty medium. So just to let you guys know, if you're buying online, if you're super porcelain, I don't think I'd go with this shade range. But once again, go with color descriptions. If you know you're light beige pink most of the time, if you don't know what your color description is, what I would do is grab your bottle of foundation you already have, look it up online, look up the color description online. If it says it's light medium beige, if it says it's pink based, like light porcelain. If you know that you're always the lightest color, you're probably porcelain. So, go with color descriptions like that to help you buy online if that's what you're doing. That way you will have less chance of returning. And if you're really leery about returning because you really almost never fit into a foundation range, I definitely try to look for sites that are gonna allow you to return it, and avoid eBay unless of course the seller is going to give you the product, and unless of course that color is gonna suit you, because I don't really think there's return policies on eBay. And then some of you guys asked about this, the Urban Decay Tinted Moisturizer, which I think runs very full coverage for a tinted moisturizer. And the reason I say that is because tinted moisturizers are very thin and sometimes runny, at least some of the ones I've worked with. Anyways, they're thin coverage, they're like a semi-coverage. They're gonna give the skin a nice glow, a nice pop. They're not gonna give you massive amounts of coverage. I still think you can work with them even if you don't have super fantastic skin. You could just apply a concealer to the bad areas. Now the reason I love Tinted Moisturizer, and I don't use it as a face primer, if I'm gonna use a Tinted Moisturizer, I'm just gonna use just that and a face powder. But the reason I love them is because they make the skin pop. You can use concealer. You're never gonna look dry or cakey. I actually hate looking dry or cakey more than looking imperfect. I just think that having a full face of cakey makeup is much more distracting. So anyways, the shade range on this, it's only 4 colors. If you don't fit into this shade range, I mean, you don't have to be spot on with this. You can always blend it and share it out. Unless, of course, you're porcelain, then this is not a recommendation because for some weird reason, these have a tendency to run on the very kind of yellow-based scale. I don't know if they're trying to hit the market on yellow-based foundations. They could be, because I know some people say trying to find a yellow is hard. I personally don't think trying to find a yellow foundation is remotely difficult. I guess it just depends on what you've tried. But yeah, these tend to run very yellow. So once again, when you're looking up these online, just go with the shade range tone. And because these are so thin, you can shear them down so that they suit you. This is a little pale for me, but I know I could still use it if I wanted to. I would just really have to shear it out and then just sort of perfect it with a colored face powder, and then I can use it. Some foundation companies do like to run on the neutral side. This would be to neutralize your skin tone, and that would definitely be a company aesthetic, a preference. Now, of course, you could still buy what you prefer from companies that have this aesthetic. My shade range for Pumpkin&Poppy Cosmetics, well, the way it's sort of categorized is with skin color or skin undertones. So you kind of buy from that. Cashew is my color, and even though I'm tan, I can still use this when I'm a little lighter because it just sort of blends out beautifully. It's a very malleable foundation, and it can be anywhere from a setting powder and you can bump it up to a full coverage. A lot. I love cream blushes, that this ideally suits me as a setting powder, and it just sort of helps neutralize any redness, blemishes, or imperfections. I get a little redness in my cheeks, so I love this as a setting powder. If you're somebody who wants to neutralize their skin tone, this is great for you. Once again, it's an online company, so you're going to buy with undertones. Now, if you're not sure if you're warm or cool, the easiest way to check is with your is with the veins in your wrists. So if you have yellow and green veining in your wrist, a very easy way to tell if you're warm toned is by that. Now, if you're cool toned, you're probably gonna see purple and blue veining. If you've got a combination of green and blue and purple veins, you're probably neutral, and you could probably try to buy, you know, something where it says natural, medium, mid-tone. Beige would be like a normal natural. So I'll put a link below to Pumpkin&Poppy and all the other links for the other ones, whether or not you can or can't buy them online. These are the current indie foundations I have. I'm not somebody who likes to go out and buy tons of foundations because I like to try to stick within a skincare routine to just keep my skin healthy, happy, and sane. So that's kind of it. I know this is sort of a small foundation favorites overview, but this is what I've tried recently. This is what I've loved. This is what I've worked, and this is what I recommend, and those are my tips for finding your foundation online. I sincerely hope they helped you out, and yeah, let me know if you want a concealer video. Let me know if you want how to pick your bronzer or highlighting video, although I do think that even with foundation, of course, that does include personal little tastes and touches. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, let me know if you want to see more fun educational videos like this one, because I know I do mostly fun makeup tutorials. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.